So just as expected, the Clarity Act is probably going to pass the US House. So just as I said before, it's all theater when they say, oh, they're going to fight. They're probably not going to pass the stablecoin bill or the Clarity Act or whatever, the Genius Act. It doesn't matter. All this stuff is all theater, as you know by now, okay? All of it, it's going to pass. Now, we have this from the Kobeissi letter. Now, I've been explaining to you that the US economy is in shambles. People bash me on Twitter and bash me on YouTube because they're uneducated. They don't even do their research. Where here you go. Millions of Americans now work multiple jobs to pay for basic necessities. The number of multiple job holders jumped from 282,000 in June to a near record 8.87 million. So in other words, people can't afford their salary on just one job. They need multiple jobs to pay for basic necessities. This is what it's talking about. It gets worse, guys. Check this out. This figure surpasses the 2008 peak by 800,000 people. 2008, that was the great financial crisis. That almost obliterated everything, okay? If it wasn't for the currency printing, the US would have completely reset its economy. Now, it gets even crazier. As a share of employment, multiple job holders rose to 5.5%, the third highest in 16 years. At the same time, Americans working primary full-time and secondary part-time jobs surged by 133% to 5.05 million. Check this out. This is the key here. One of the highest levels in history. This is not going to get any better. This is why you need to tell your friends and family members about Bitcoin, because you know what? Proof is in the pudding. Wages don't keep up with inflation anymore. No, not the stupid CPI inflation that the government lies about. No, real inflation stuff, you know, food, fuel, things that people actually need in life. Yes, that's the type of inflation that I'm talking about, and people are getting really hurt. Now, also, here's something. This is one of the, I was actually talking to Heidi today, and she's like, yeah, you should like mention this, that the middle class, it's being destroyed on purpose. And there's not going to be any more middle class because you guys are going to, actually, let me get into that in a second. But first, a $100,000 salary in January 2020 has the same buying power as $124,353 in April of 2025 this is according to Bankrate. So what does that mean? It means inflation is much, much, much higher than CPI or anything the government is telling you about, okay? And this is why I keep saying the middle class is finished. All right, so that's why I tell my friends and family members who are middle class, guys, get Bitcoin, get something like an inflation hedge, anything that's an inflation hedge, because you can't work your way out of this inflation, guys, okay? And you would have lost $24,353 if you're holding $100,000 since 2020. Sucks, man. This is horrible. So this is why the middle class is disappearing at a rapid rate, because it's eating away at the savings, or their savings, okay? Now here's the kicker here. I've seen this all around Twitter, YouTube, whatever. People like saying hooray for this. Now, multiple Congress members to criminally refer Jerome Powell to the DOJ. Now I'm hearing reports that Trump is going to fire, or somebody's going to fire Jerome Powell. Keep in mind, Jerome Powell is a figurehead. He's told exactly what to say. He has no say over anything, okay? The real players are the people behind that own the Federal Reserve. I think it's like 6 or 7 different families. If you want to know a great book, it's called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, okay? Check that book out. You'll be more educated on the Federal Reserve than a PhD at Harvard. I promise you that if you read that book. Now, what I talked about 2 days ago with Senator Loomis, like haranguing, you know, like, oh, we need to fire Jerome Powell. No, you want to listen to a smart woman? Check out my wife. She knows what she's talking about. She said, don't fire Jerome Powell on Twitter, just end the Federal Reserve. So my wife gets it. She understands that, you know, changing the deck chairs on the Titanic isn't going to keep the Titanic from sinking, okay? You need to end the Federal Reserve completely. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen because they've been around since 1913, and the people behind that their families have been around much longer than that as well, and they will do whatever it takes to do exactly what they want to do, which is being the buyer and the lender of last resort, and they're going to take down everybody with it. They don't care about you guys, and they are unelected and private. So something your teachers aren't going to teach your kids that, so you better teach them. So let's go over to Tucker Carlson right now. Now, for me, I'm not too sure about this guy, but he does say some interesting things like this. Normal people with normal jobs no longer believe that they can win in this system, and that all the money is going to the worst people. People that are hiding the Epstein client list, huh? And no one even stops to ask what the hell is going on. What I'm saying is that our leadership class should say something about it and should assign a moral value to it. Well, keep in mind, somebody should educate Tucker on this, that the people that own the leadership class are the central banks, okay? This is why some of the US founding fathers were talking about, if you allow a central bank to print its currency into oblivion, then you're gonna wake up in a country that you don't even recognize. I think that was Thomas Jefferson that said that. Now, here we go. Let's go back to Bitcoin now. With VJ Boyapati, we're back at $120,000 and nobody cares. Some people are caring. It's already boring and retail investors aren't FOMOing. We are still early in this cycle. I do agree with a lot of what he says. VJ is a really cool, good guy to listen to. Now, the thing is that as the last phase of the bull market proceeds and continues, the ascent rate is going to get steeper and steeper. What does that mean? It means that the prices are going to be will go violent to the upside and downside, but very short periods, because that is just, that's the parabola, that's the parabolic rise that we're all waiting for. Now, things can happen really fast. So in other words, Bitcoin could, at the last phase, double in like hardly any time at all, a couple weeks, 3 weeks, who knows? And alts could do the same thing, as we've seen with Ethereum, which is rising like crazy, even though it's like about $1,100 right now at $3,600 from its all-time high. Now that can change rapidly, and I expect Ethereum to really catch up very fast, okay? I think even Joseph Lubin added like 29,000 or 25,000 Ethereum to the balance sheet of his new company, or his company, just the other day, and I think he knows what's going on. So this is what is going to start alt season. This is when you buckle your seatbelt, guys, because the easiest part of the bull market is coming. This is the phase where it happens. All right, I'm going to explain to you when you kind of could expect, if this is a normal bull market, when the peak will be. But first, this is a brilliant tweet from Truth Seeker. What happened to checking Fort Knox for gold? Yeah, exactly. What happened to that? Even though that would have never happened. Peter Spina on Twitter says, too busy releasing the Epstein files. Exactly. It's all a show. Whatever, that's what it is. Now let's go over to the 30-year, jumping to above 5.04%, closing in on its highest level in 18 years, guys. Nobody wants US debt anymore. This is being fueled by all these tariffs. All right, nobody trusts the United States anymore. People are literally selling US debt and going ahead and buying gold, and my guess is like they're buying Bitcoin as well. Now, I can't prove that because I don't have their direct public address or whatever. I have a very good hunch that that is exactly what is happening. Now let's go over to when we should expect potentially the peak of the bull market. Keep in mind, this happens really fast during the last phase. Now, this is from Midas. It says the past 3 cycles, as I've explained before in many videos, equals, it was 500 days from halving to top, okay? So 500 days from the last halving to the top right now would actually be August to September of 2025. Now, is that gonna happen? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody has a crystal ball. But that would be a good guess, right? Especially with what we're seeing right now with ETH getting out of its accumulation zone, because it's kind of getting out of it right now. Even though we are $1,100 away from all-time highs, that can happen really quickly. And if you've been in bull markets before, you know just how fast this stuff can happen. It's almost shocking, because it's not just weeks or months. It can be sometimes days where we can see crazy moves bringing things to all-time highs. I mean, if you've been in this space for a while or a couple of cycles, you will know that that can happen. A lot of people here are new and we welcome you, but I'm just here to share with you, things can happen really, really fast. That's why it's important to buy something and hold it till the bull market, okay? This is why we buy during the bear markets, and then we hold. We can kind of relax a little bit. Yes, I'll buy a couple things or a couple alts here or there during that time, but my main Bitcoin position it's there. I'm holding it through this, because things can happen much faster than even the most bullish people think that can happen. All right. Anyways, that's all I have. Please like and subscribe, and check us out at learningcrypto.com if you do want to see when we're going to be selling this bull market, and also when we're going to be buying the bear market, because that's going to be even more fun than the last phase of this bull market. And you'll understand why I say that next bull market. Talk to you soon.